This is I Am Life and Light Productions. And I am Just Sparks. I am your host. Yes, today is class 8 of Iman School of Thought, lesson 8 of the Master Key System, where we're learning self-mastery, self-discipline, self-awareness, learning thyself. So I pray each and every eye is up full and bright this day and is living the life of the eye of their mind. You see it. We do give thanks once again. Blessed to each and every eye. And this blessed Sabbath day remembrance, to all those that are holding their Sabbath. Today, the 7th day, remembering that the Sabbath is a state of mind, and not just merely the 7th day, but a state of being. That we must enter our Sabbath, our state of being, in order to birth our son, our reality that we're desiring to experience. So without further ado, I think I will go straight into it. Lesson 8 of the Master Key System, and it's more visualization. And it's only getting better, that I must say. It's only getting better. This is lesson 8, so this is the 8th strong, what they will say the 8th week, and we have 24 strongs, 24 lessons, so we do give thanks to each and every eye that join in with I. Take time out, to rebirth self, because this is what it's about, the rebirthing of self, mind, body, and soul, so yeah, I do take passion in that, to see each and every eye rebirth themselves into that which they desire to be, without hindrance, without lack or limitations, it is our right, our divine right, each and every eye that dwelleth upon the face of the earth. It's our divine right to have all the good things that we are desiring within creation, for we are all one. We are one consciousness. No one is separate from the other, so we must learn the true self-love, because they speak about self-love, loving self, but if you cannot love others, then you cannot love self. It's just as if you cannot love self, you cannot love others, because others, the people them that are out there, are just a reflection of you. They are the same consciousness as you. And if you cannot love them, which is yourself, how then are you saying you're loving yourself and showing self-love to self? Realize that self is everything else, including who you perceive yourself to be. Yes, right? And that is the soul. The whole totality of all that is the soul. Not something small within the body, but the whole totality of all that is the soul. So we do give thanks again, royally. Yeah, man. It's a beautiful day, Beautiful day here in Ghana. We give thanks, Much glory and praises to the mighty eye, the eye of the mind, from which proceeded the issues to life. We give thanks for the mighty word, for we are even the manifested word that became flesh, our body that is, So we do give thanks for the word is all there is, So this strong, the 8th strong, our exercise for this strong, lesson 8. First strong, which is last week, you created a mental image. You brought it from invisible to visible. Don't worry, I will go over it after I finish this lesson, which is the 7th strong lesson. I will go over it once again before I close today, So First strang, which is the seventh strang. You created a mental image. You brought it from invisible to visible. This strang, I want you to take an object and follow it back to its origination. See of what it really consists. If you can do this, you will develop imagination, insight, perception, and sagacity. These come not from the superficial observation of the multitude, but by a keen analytical observation which sees below the surface. It is the few who know that the things which they see are effects and understand the cause by which these effects were brought into existence. Take the same position as heretofore. Mean, you're going into the same room like you did for the last 7 strangs. This is the 8th strang. In the same position, taking the same seat, and you're going to visualize a battleship. Yes, right? And you're going to see the grim monster, this big battleship floating on the surface of the water. Right? There appears to be no life anywhere about. All is silent. You know that by far the larger part of the vessel is under the water, out of sight. You know that the ship is as large and as heavy as a 20-story skyscraper. Big ship. Them battleship, the USS whatever battleship. You see it, Think of the size of it. On top the water and then below. Yes, right? You know that there are hundreds of men and women ready to spring to their appointed task instantly. You know that every department that is in charge are able, trained, skilled officials who have proven themselves competent to take charge of this marvelous piece of mechanism. You know that although it lies apparently oblivious to everything else, it has eyes which sees everything for miles around, and nothing is permitted to escape its watchful vision. So all these things are entailed in this battleship. Now, after you do all of this, you're going to take the battleship now back. You're going to take it before it entered into the water. And you're going to see how it was built. You're going to go back, see how it was put together, whether it was piece put together, built from the bottom, top, bottom, left, right, left to right, right to left, how it was built, inside, out, outside, in. Yes, right? Then you're going to take it all the way back now to the blueprint of which the architects of the battleship used to build the ship. Then from there, you're going to take it from the blueprint to the sketches before it was placed on the blueprint. And then you will take it even further. You will take it back now to the mind of the man out of which the sketches came. The thoughts that created that big, massive battleship that you see on the ocean today. All came from but thoughts. You see it. Now, as they say, this exercise help us to develop imagination, you know? And imagination is very, very important in manifestation. It is very, very important in creation. For everything that you see came out of imagination. It's right. So we will go through the question and answer for lesson 8 of the Master Key System, class 8 of High School of Thought. Question 1. What is the imagination? Because many people, when they hear imagination, they just think about, you sitting and just vaguely thinking about stuff and randomly, and you're just, seeing things that may be impossible and far-fetched from the eye, So you think of it in that way as imagination, But what is the imagination? The imagination, All right, answer. The imagination is a form of constructive thought. It's right? The light by which we penetrate new worlds of thought and experience. The mighty instrument by which every inventor or discoverer opened the way from precedent to experience. So that is imagination. Question 2. What is the result of imagination? The answer. The cultivation of the imagination leads to the development of the ideal out of which your future will emerge. Okay? Question 3. How may it be cultivated? The imagination, that is. How may you cultivate your imagination, grow your imagination? All right? Answer. By exercise. Your imagination must be supplied with nourishment or it cannot live. You see it. Question 4. How does imagination differ from daydreaming? Okay. Answer. Daydreaming is a form of mental dissipation, while imagination is a form of constructive thought which wrought people every constructive action. So in other words, daydreaming is you sitting there and bouncing from thought to thought and not really specific of one specific thought that you're sitting down and trying to build and grow. But you're just, multitasking in your mind, thinking of so many different things, giving this a little energy, giving that a little energy, giving that a little energy, and you're just moving and going through. That is daydreaming. Mental dissipation, it's like dysfunctioned, it's like, how would I say, it's fractionated, broken up into pieces, when your imagination is something where you are constructively thinking about a certain situation, seeing it all the way through, seeing every aspect of it, every detail, every color, the taste, the smell, everything about it, and involving yourself, your senses in that thought. That is imagination. You see it? Different from daydreaming, Question 5. What are mistakes? Answer. Mistakes are the result of ignorance, not knowing, lacking knowledge, lacking information, lacking knowledge more or less, because you could have information and still make mistakes because you don't have the knowledge of it, All right. Question 6. What is knowledge? Answer: the result of man's ability to think things through, to see it from as many angles as possible as you can. You know? Meaning more or less experiencing, going through the thing. Not just, study program, but actually going through, by application, applying the information. Question 7. What is the power with which successful men build? Men and women. What is the power with which they use to build? Answer: mind is the ever-moving force with which they secure the persons and circumstances necessary to complete their plans. So every successful man and woman uses their mind to achieve. Not hard work, not tiresome labor, but their mind. Constructive thinking something all the way through, seeing all their workers, everything in place, and doing everything that they desire them to be doing. And by holding that thought in place, they draw that reality to them naturally by the law of attraction, drawing to you that which you're thinking of constantly. Okay. Question 8. What predetermines the result? So what predetermines the result, right, of accomplishing that, the thoughts, them bringing them to manifestation from your mind into reality? Okay. Answer: the ideal or the thought held steadily in mind attracts the necessary conditions for its fulfillment. Just as I said earlier, by holding the thought steadily in your mind, being faithful to your thought, being steadfast in that thought, without thinking about anything else but that thought alone, you gradually draw it, you bring it to you, and bring it into fulfillment. Okay. Question 9. What is the result of a keen analytical observation? The answer: the development of imagination, insight, perception, and sagacity. Question 10. To what do these lead? Okay, so to what do developing your imagination, your insight, your perception, and your sagacity leads? The answer: it leads to opulence and harmony. Oneness with the all, with creation, with self. Perfect balance. Being able to materialize your greatest desire with ease. You see it. So we do give thanks again for lesson 8 of the Master Key System. Class 8 of High School of Thought. Visualizing from visible to invisible. Taking an object, whatever object you want. You can use your phone. See it now and then take it back to its origin. As a thought in the mind of someone. Everything is but a thought in the mind of someone before it became something of tangible material for you to touch. Just as everything you see in creation was invisible, was but a thought of the Most High, the Creator, the eye of the mind. You see it. So I will go over lesson 7, class 7 of the Master Key System of High School of Thought. Last strong, or first strong, which is last week. Where we were to visualize our friend and see that friend as we last saw them. See the room that we was in, or the place, wherever it may be, that we had saw that friend, the furniture, recall the conversation, what we spoke about. Now see his face or her face. See it distinctly, the features, everything. Now talk to him or her about something of mutual interest that you all will regularly speak about. See the expression change. Watch him smile. Then it asks, can you do this? Say, all right, you can. Then now, arouse his interest. Tell him his story of adventure. Something different that you all never spoke about. Not just recalling the last conversation and everything. Something new that you all never spoke about. Something of interest, something of adventure. And see your friend's face, eyes light up with the spirit of fun or excitement. Now it asks, can you do this? It says, if you can, your imagination is good and you are making excellent progress. And that is what these lessons are here to do. Teach us to use our imagination, develop our first eye, the eye of the mind, the use of our pineal gland, so that we can now be able to willingly, actively manifest the things that we're desiring in our reality. The true life that we desire to live. Yeah, so let me go to the question and answer for lesson 7. This is last week, first strong, the 7th strong. What is visualization? Answer. The process of making mental pictures is visualization. When you close your eyes and make a mental picture in your mind and see it clear, you are visualized. Different from imagination. Imagination is a flood, if you will, of thoughts, of different pictures, like a movie then. You're creating a movie in your mind. That's imagination. All right? Question 2. What is the result of this method of thinking, visualization, when you think and you see the thing in your mind? What is the result of this method of thought? Answer. By holding the image or picture in mind, we can gradually but surely bring the thing nearer to us. We can be what we will to be. Right? Question 3. What is idealization? Answer. It is a process of visualizing or idealizing the plans which will eventually materialize in our objective world, in our reality, in our experience. Question 4. Why are clearness and accuracy necessary in visualization? Answer. Because seeing creates feeling, and feeling creates being. First, the mental, seeing in your mind. Then the emotional, the feeling in your body. Then the unlimited possibilities of achievement, being, becoming that which you will to be. Question 5. How are they obtained? Answer. Each repeated action renders the image more accurate than the former one. So by repetition, by habit, over and over, you make the image brighter and brighter. Make it more vivid, more accurate. All right. Question 6. What is the material for the construction of your mental image? How is the material for the construction of your mental image secured. So what are you using to secure your mental image? What are you using to build in your mind? Answer: it is secured by millions of mental workers. Brain cells, they are called. Question 7. How are the necessary conditions for bringing about the materialization of your ideals in the objective world secured? Answer: by the law of attraction, the natural law by which all conditions and experiences are brought about. Question 8. What 3 steps are necessary in order to bring this law, the law of attraction, into operation? The answer: an earnest desire, a confident expectation, and a firm demand. So those are the 3 things necessary to bring the law of attraction into operation. An earnest desire, a confident expectation, and a firm demand. Okay. Question 9. Why do many fail? Okay. So why do many fail to materialize and demonstrate and bring into creation that which they're desiring? Because they concentrate on loss, the things them that they don't have, the things them that they're lacking. They're concentrating on those things, thinking about it. Disease, if it's health you're looking for, you're concentrating on your sickness, and disaster. If you're looking for safety and security, you cannot be concentrating on all the bad things them that can happen to you in life. The law of attraction is operating perfectly, always operating perfectly. It is the things them that we're thinking of, the things them that we're fearing is coming upon us. It's right when we fail. Now, what is the alternative? How do we cease the failure? All right. And the alternative answer is by concentrating on the ideals which we desire to see manifested in our lives. So by concentrating on the good only, seeing yourself in victory, seeing yourself having all the material things them that you desire, in the wealth, in the position you want to be in, in the home that you desire to be in, with the spouse that you desire to be with. See all of these things, as now in your mind, in your imagination. Have it as a movie that you go to often, and by creating the picture and making it clear in your mind, you create the perfect feeling. And that feeling that generates in your body, if you hold to it, it will draw circumstances to you that is going to bring you to that being, to that realization, that reality, that experience. So we do give thanks again for each and every eye joining in, the purpose of life, gaining true knowledge of self, becoming master of self, master of your dominion, master of this material world, not depending on others, but depending on self. Yes, that is what it is. For help from man is vain. Yet in the world today, you see many looking for help from man, and then blaming man if man don't help them. Yes, when they are equipped with all the help they need. Their human imagination and their body. Yes, and today is the day where the true worshippers of the Most High God shall worship the Most High God in spirit and truth. Yes, For in spirit is in imagination, in the word, in the thought. And in truth is in the feeling, in the emotion, in that vibration of that thought. And by bringing those two and marrying them together, the masculine and the feminine, you shall birth your child, your experience, into form, to experience. So until such time, I pray diligence to each and every eye going through this strong, that the eye, them take full diligence in their lessons, because this is only, how I should say, it's only useful to those that apply the teachings, If you don't apply the teachings, it is useless information. Yes, right? So, applied information gives you knowledge, which brings wisdom through understanding. Yes, right? So, I pray the eyes them take deep diligence in the search to self, because the inward dive is deep, and if you don't want to see deep, then it's high, and it takes discipline and perseverance. It is not for the swift. It takes virtue, the renewing of the mind. So until such time, royal eyes, do give thanks to the eyes, them presence, blessings to each and every household, each and every eye that is listening in, much blessings to the eyes, them, Yeah, man, love to love, because the eye is eye and eye is the eye, Yeah, and we cannot exist without each other. Yes, right? For it is one collective conscious intelligence, and the more we see ourselves as that, the more we will be able to communicate with each other much better. We'll have better relationships of every sort, intimate relationships, friendships, business relationships, everything will be perfected, So it is to seek knowledge of self, as the ancients them said, it is where we ought to go. And the blessed place to go is within self, to find self and know self, So it is not an outward journey, just as the Sabbath is not an outward thing, The Sabbath is not an experience where everyone is experiencing the Sabbath with you, but you are experiencing the Sabbath of your own self by entering into the state that you desire fulfilled. And only you can do that. Someone else can do that for you. And by not entering the Sabbath of your state fulfilled, you kill the version of you that you desire to bring forth and manifest and be. Yes, right? So it is all inwardly. So we do give thanks again, royally. It is I, Jasparks. I am your host of I Am I, Life and Light Productions. Until such time, blessings to the houses. All I am.